Why being born as Michael Jackson sucks. Being born as Michael Jackson is shitty, and the deeper you read into his life, the more you understand. Being Michael is not a blessing, it is a sentence. It is a cross that you are not given the choice to carry. It is not destiny, it is a cage covered in gold, shining so brightly that no one notices the bars. Everyone admires the shine, but no one sees the bruises under the costume, the screams in the night, the sleepless tears, the broken thoughts, and the deafening loneliness. Let's start from the very beginning. A little boy, timid, shy, fragile. A child who simply wanted to be loved, but love was a luxury that was in short supply in their home. There were demands, pressure, and fear. There were expectations that exceeded the physical and emotional limits of any adult, let alone a child. There was a father who thought that success grows from pain, and he created that pain, consciously, systematically, coldly. Being born as Michael means being born into a family where your voice is an instrument, not an expression of your soul, where you must sing not because you enjoy it, but because it is the only thing keeping the family afloat, where rehearsals replace school, childhood, friends, and play, where every movement of yours is subject to criticism and any imperfection is a reason for punishment. And the most terrible part is that fame was not a dream, but an obligation. We often think that children dream of becoming stars, but Michael did not dream. Others dreamed for him. He simply performed. He simply endured. He was just a small part of a huge plan in which his life only mattered when it generated profit. Imagine this. Little Michael stands in a room singing, and his father stands opposite him, carefully observing every sound. And if something is not right, a strike, a scream, a threat. And this becomes a ritual that he experiences every day. His small psyche is formed not through support, not through protection, but through a sense of eternal guilt. He feels that he must be perfect, that any imperfection is a crime. And here is where the shittiest part begins. When you learn from childhood to be perfect, the world later demands the impossible, to remain perfect forever. When Michael first stepped on stage, thousands of people applauded him, but no one saw what was happening inside him. No one heard his quiet inner voice saying, "I am tired. I am scared. Please stop for just a minute." But he could not stop, because success does not wait. The audience does not wait. Money does not wait. He becomes part of a machine, and the faster the wheels turn, the fewer chances he has to jump out. Over the years, Michael acquires a new curse: publicity. He is adored, but with the same intensity, he is hated. He is called a genius, but at the same time, every feature of his face, every gesture of his, is mocked. He becomes the most discussed person on the planet, and at the same time, the loneliest. Millions of people around him, and not a single one to whom he could reveal his soul without fear that it will appear on the front pages of newspapers tomorrow. If you think that fame is happiness, remember this: happiness is freedom. Michael was not free for a single minute. He could not walk down the street. He could not go to a store. He could not simply live. He had to hide under masks, glasses, jackets, so that the eyes and cameras would not devour him. He was a prisoner of his own legend. Being born as Michael Jackson is shitty because he never knew the boundary between himself and the image that was demanded of him. First, he was forced to be the perfect child, then the perfect performer, then the perfect product, then the perfect icon, then the perfect eccentric madman that the media could exploit as they pleased. Each stage of his life was not development, but a complication of his prison. His adult years became a struggle against himself. He tried to rewrite his face, not because he wanted to be someone else, but because the world convinced him too early. He was not good enough, not beautiful enough, not perfect enough, not the real Michael enough. His changes in appearance were not whims, but a desperate attempt to get rid of the reflection that reminded him of the pain of his childhood. He wanted to change his face, because it belonged to a past that he hated. But the world, instead of sympathy, chose mockery. The world chose ridicule. The world chose to turn him into a caricature. The world chose to make him a meme, long, cruel, endless. Imagine, you are one of the most talented people on the planet. You have given the world music that will be listened to for centuries, and in return, you get headlines calling you a monster, strange, dangerous, abnormal. And this continues for years, decades. People laugh at you, even when you did nothing funny. People fear you, even when you harmed no one. People judge you without knowing what you went through. But it gets worse. His kindness, his attempt to give children the childhood he never had, his desire to create a place where they could laugh and play without pain, without fear, without criticism, all of this is turned against him. He is accused, humiliated, dragged through courts, through headlines, through talk shows. They turn him into a monster he never was. And here comes the moment when you realize being Michael Jackson is not just difficult, it is unbearable. Because when the whole world stamps you, it stays on you forever, even if you are innocent, even if the truth is on your side, even if the courts acquit you. The public loves to believe lies when lies are louder than truth. Michael found himself in a world where people were ready to destroy their idol for a few clicks, for newspaper sales, for ratings, and he tried to hold on. He tried to keep creating. He tried to keep smiling. But inside him was a wound that never healed, and that wound is loneliness, absolute, blinding, destructive. You can be surrounded by bodyguards, managers, fans, musicians, journalists, and still be completely alone because everyone wants something from you, but no one wants you. No one wants your truth, your pain, your exhaustion. No one wants to be near you when you are just a person with all your weaknesses. Being born as Michael Jackson means living a life where billions know you, but no one truly knows you. Now, let's talk about the body, about physical pain, about the destruction of a body that tortured itself for the sake of the show, the bad tour, the dangerous tour, the history tour. These were not just concerts. They were energy explosions that he gave to the last drop. Each performance was a marathon, and Michael did them hundreds of times. Hundreds of times he jumped, danced, hit the stage, fell, got up, continued. Even when his bones were cracking, he suffered burns, injuries, spinal damage. He experienced pain that an ordinary person could not endure for 3 days. But he continued, because he had to, because people were waiting, because the show could not stop. And gradually, he became dependent on medications, not because he wanted a high, but because he wanted to survive. He simply wanted to remove the pain, even for a minute. He simply wanted to disconnect from the constant nightmare he lived in. Sleep? There was none. Peace? There was none. Hope? It became weaker and weaker. And when he tried to return, when he began preparing the grand show This Is It, his body could no longer withstand it. He tried to become superhuman again, even though inside he was already broken, exhausted, a tired man who just wanted a chance to be himself. But no one gave him that chance, and the world that he entertained all his life watched his slow decline without reaching out. And when he died, the same world cried and said how much it loved him. And this, perhaps, is the shittiest part. They idolize you too late. They realize too late that you are not perfection, but a human. But by the time sympathy comes, you are already gone. That's why being born as Michael Jackson is shitty. Because you are born a human, but all your life they force you to be a legend. Because you seek love and find millions of other people's expectations. Because you want to live, and you are turned into a product. Because you want to be heard, and you are used as background. Because you want to be a child, and you are controlled by adults with cold hearts. Because you want to be free, and you are locked in an image that was never yours. Because you want to be yourself, and they force you to be everything for everyone. And in the end, they break you. They stop seeing you. They lose you, and you disappear. leaving behind music that will become immortal, and the pain that he carried for so many years, which no one saw. That's why being born as Michael Jackson is not a luxury. It is a tragedy. Beautiful, genius, musical, but a tragedy. And the longer you look at his life, the more you understand. No one could have borne this burden.